maybe if they knew more about it, at least they'd collect it in a humane manner. Not pull it out of the ground and not do the things we've heard about them. Putting chains around plants and pulling them out and then piling them in big piles in the back of their pickup truck. They don't deserve that. That's what the desecration is.
Kuchumama ihenya konyuwa ma ihenya kuchumama ikutipurua Kuchumama ihenya konyuwa ma ihenya kuchumama ikutipurua Kuchumama ihenya konyuwa.
How was I first introduced to this plant? I remember very distinctly being in back of Barbara's backyard. And if you know Barbara, her backyard was her pride and joy and her labor of love. She said, Kim, come here, I need to introduce you to this. And she took the plant from her hand. She didn't pick it. And she said, just smell this. Tell me what you remember when you smell it. I bent down and I took a big whiff of the plant and I said, I know that smell, but I'm not sure what it is. And she said, this is our grandmother. This is our grandmother white sage. And this plant helped our people in so many different ways.
Rocks are our ancestors. Our plants are our ancestors. The animals are our relatives. We're all related at some point in time. I think that especially when we go to the sage stand, going there, it's a very humbling experience because I know that my ancestors were there doing the same thing that I am doing. Ooh, I just got chills. You know, they've been there. Their feet and their prayers and their songs when they're out gathering, they've been there before.
We have a word for tree. We have a word for the earth. A lot of Native cultures don't have a word for nature. This concept of nature, the fact that Cahuilla doesn't have that word tells me that we are nature. We're part of it. It's just as natural as breathing.
Our creation stories tell us that our plants are the first people, and that Tamayawa created them first. When people start thinking about plants as their relatives and as their ancestors, they themselves begin to heal. They begin to walk in a better way and be more in balance with the earth and with others.
My journey is knowing that they've been here for thousands of generations. They're what enabled my people to survive on the landscape. White sage became a plant that I started using because of its medicinal value, because of its antibacterial properties, its antiseptic properties, its antifungal properties.
Nos sirve para muchas cosas y nos sirve para hacer ceremonias. Es para neutralizar nuestras propias energías cuando estamos de mal humor o enojados o cuando se va a hacer una reunión. Siempre usamos la sal. Como el virus o cosas como cuando se contagiaban en aquel entonces porque no sabían qué enfermedades eran, se usaban también la salvia.
When we're taking care of these medicines, we're also caring for ourselves, our families, and our community. We can't forget that when we're out there gathering.
White sage, or Salvia apiana, is a member of the mint family with silver leaves and a distinct, wonderful fragrance. It is found from about San Luis Obispo County in the north down to Baja California, Mexico, where it shares its range with some of the most densely populated and urbanized places in the United States.
White sage has been very much reduced due to urban development. You could just look at a satellite imagery map and see what was once habitat. It was ecosystems, it was native plants. It really has a lot of obstacles now. In order for it to migrate, it might have to surpass huge swaths of development and houses to get to more suitable habitat.
I moved to California about 16 years ago to go to graduate school at UC Riverside, and that's when I first met white sage, and I think like a lot of people, fell in love with it instantly. It has a really fantastic smell, so you can interact with it by touching it and smelling it, and it's a real hub for floral visitors. Birds and bees visiting it, eating seeds, pollinating flowers. Even though white sage isn't classified as a rare plant, the rate at which people can collect it is pretty alarming. And I think in some ways, it's easier for that collecting to go under the radar because it isn't highlighted as something that is specifically rare or endangered.
For purification, the banishment of discord, and a rebalancing of one's physical dwelling.
Can we just banish all parent and male energy forever?
I was sent by Roman to burn some sage.
We all recognize it when we see it. Cultural appropriation. I think various cultural traditions are taken. And I think that's the key word, taken. Taken, but there's nothing given back. But unless you're in the right mindset, it's like you're looking for healing outside of yourself. You're looking for some substance to add to your healing.
When I see people at stores that have sage, it really infuriates me because they have missed the whole concept. They don't understand the spiritual connection that Native people in Southern California have with the plant white sage.
So on a personal level, I've come across people, like say at the farmer's market or obviously in certain stores, they're selling these bundles of white sage. And I'll ask them, well, where is this being harvested from? A lot of times people might not even know where it comes from.
With social media, I've seen hashtag witches, hashtag occult. I've seen people on roller skates at roller skating events, roller skating, waving a smudge stick. And I see people abusing it. And to me, I don't know where they got it. They could have just bought it. I've seen it for sale, Venice Beach, Long Beach, just some guy selling it for $10. That to me is a way of pimping out the blessing.
It is a beautiful smell, and I can understand why people want to be in the presence, but there are other ways that you can get that.
Nadie puede usar nuestras ceremonias, porque nuestras ceremonias son únicas y auténticas y propias. Nadie puede imitar o tomar nuestras ceremonias.
I think the cultural appropriation comes from the miseducation that begins in our school systems and just the lack of truth-telling about our history. and the erasure of our people. And I don't think people mean to appropriate, but that is a result of the miseducation.
I was taking it to shows with me, and it was popular. I mean, everybody was liking sage anyway, so I was able to sell it. But I could see that, first, I didn't really have enough time to wild harvest. And the second thing is that I could see we were going to run out of it. Then in '99, we bought this property. And when I got up here, we were here for about a year, and I got this idea that we could grow sage.
When I make a sage stick, some leaves flake off. And I collect the leaves that flake off, and that's what I use to cook the oil. And this is what it looks like. It takes a lot of sage to make essential oil. Cook this whole container full of sage, and this is what we've been able to make from it, probably about 12 pounds of sage.
50% of our orders are U.S., 50% of them are not.
It's not just Americans anymore. It's becoming increasingly harvested in large quantities for commerce in other parts of the world in ways that it wasn't even a few decades ago.
People are devastating our ecosystem for commercial purposes.
We've all in the Native community heard stories of people who have had a patch of white sage that they've been harvesting since their grandparents, and then one year they go out and it's all taken.
Últimamente, nuestra comunidad indígena cuenta con 11.500 hectáreas. Entonces tenemos mucha salvia así en unas partes. La otra vez encontré muchas cortando desde abajo, podadito todo, no deja nada.
Fundación La Puerta has 2,000 acres, and all the plants that are there are basically unprotected. We cannot confront these people because we don't know if they carry arms or weapons, but it is a big problem up there, and most of the plants are gone in those 2,000 acres, sadly.
My mother used to come out here all the time. She would, this is one of her places where we get refocused. I'm here to protect my mom's legacy, our people's legacy, our ancestral rights. She foretold the sage was going to go extinct. back in the late 70s, early 80s, when sage was what you would call happy sage. If you find sage was on stalks 5 to 6 feet high, and now you're lucky if you find one maybe 2 feet. The plants are constantly learning to adapt, but their life cycle's being hindered by those that want to poach it and sell it on the black market.
I've confiscated the sage from the poachers and filled up my pickup truck. The poachers would utilize duffel sacks because they were able to put more of the confiscated sage in it and hike it out on their back just like a backpack.
See how dwarfed they are? It lays down rather than getting really tall, because you can see some of that. It's a little taller and it had a lot of seed bloom last year. But all of this, it shouldn't be this compact. It should be, much taller.
Over the last 7 or 8 years, I would imagine that there's probably been in excess of 15,000, 20,000 pounds of white sage taken out of these foothills.
Is it really worth doing something that has a bad effect on other people and other living things just so you can have a smudge stick?
There's a lot of things that individual people can do to think about the future health and well-being of white sage populations.
Grow them at home. When you put plants where they're from, they do really well.
The whole purpose of growing white sage in my house is so that I do build that relationship with it. I water it, I take care of it, I coppice it. Since I planted it, it has just given me an abundance of sage. And it reminds me every day of my grandmother, because when you change the way you think and you see them as relatives, you wouldn't go pull your grandmother out by the roots. You would love her caringly every day. That's when that mind shift changes.
Be attentive, and if you're seeing degradation in the landscape or poaching, you should definitely feel empowered to report that to local land managers.
There should be a program where they can learn how to grow if they want to commercialize this.
This is a plant that needs special protection.
Our work aims to heal our young people and their families. The way that we achieve this healing is by connecting ourselves to our First People.
We're trying our best with reforestation. Instead of burning or giving sage, I rather give seeds now. I ask everybody to learn about the sage and how to use it before taking a match or a lighter to it is the way to go.
Indigenous people, human beings, are a keystone species, and whatever actions we decide to take or not take have an incredible amount of impact on the land. So we need to be able to make the responsible decisions.
Hey namo sawet kwani yawe mutniaya. Hey namo sawet kwani yawe mutniaya. Hamutniaya hamu.